Last Pint Productions presents the New Way podcast. The New Way contains adult content like double the pleasure, double the fun with double mint gum.
And twins.
No, we will not do that here. Listener discretion is advised.
Too many guys think I'm a concept, or I complete them, or I'm gonna make them alive. I'm just a fucked up girl who's looking for my own peace of mind.
When the American planes come, the creatures, very mad, con los animales, crazy.
Look what I did. I packed you and your cousin some goodies for the ride up to camp.
Double feature, picture. Everybody wants to be naked and famous. Everybody wants to be just like me. I'm naked.
Will you help teach me about this? What is it? A new way?
Welcome to the New Way podcast, coming to you live from Boynton Beach, Florida, complete
This
with
is
an
not
audience.
live. What are you talking about?
Shut up, Ben. They don't have
Live
to know
to
that.
tape, Ben.
They don't have to know that.
Live to tape.
At one point, we were live, and now they are listening to it. Saturday Night Live, I watch on DVR. It's still Saturday Night Live, right? Do we edit our podcasts? Clearly, no. So this is as close to live as you can possibly get, you son of a bitch.
That's true.
So we were off last week because Ben was unable to record, and Nick and I decided, well, we don't need Ben. He's clearly not the glue holding us together, but as it turns out, he might have been some sort of glue.
His calm steering hand, I did not give him enough credit for in the past.
All I heard was that it went off the rails, so I'm just really interested in hearing it.
I mean, it clocked in at an hour and a half. We tried to Skype. We tried to.
It started off as a Kevin Smith podcast, and it ended up just being me and Matt getting drunk, talking about our deepest, darkest fears and what we wanted out of life. It got real deep, real dark, real fast.
It was.
I really want to.
It was actually really an hour and a half of me talking about how I tried to get laid and instead watched movies. And that was pretty much most of the podcast followed a similar theme of, Matt watched this movie because he was trying to get laid. And he didn't get laid, but he found a great movie.
Wait, was this one instance, or you just mean this is your entire life?
This is my whole life.
I said, most people go to the movies in an effort to get laid. And Matt trying to get laid
led me to
stumbling
movies.
upon
Yes.
movies.
That's actually
Yes.
that's pretty good.
Yes, this is
not as good as getting
This
laid.
seems to be an MO of mine. Sex comes and goes, but movies are forever. So I know our audience member probably doesn't agree with that. We have one Timothy McDonald in studio tonight.
He just waved at you. You can't see that.
Just yell
but
out.
He did wave.
Just yell out what or something like that.
This isn't live broadcast.
What?
It's ruining the match.
Live?
See, this is what happens when you see how the sausage is made. So
Emphasis on sausage. How the sausage party is made.
So this is our third attempt at podcast 37. We tried once with the musicals, but we couldn't get together. We tried twice with Kevin Smith.
Well, we're still going to do the musicals.
We're going to do the musicals.
I made some headway yesterday. So.
Headway in the Angry Inch.
Ben is writing apparently an opus of a musical.
No.
And was waiting for the
with
full
that.
orchestra to be available, but they are this weekend, so he's got the Boston Pops coming in.
The Boynton Beach Pops. He's all he could afford.
Usually, I know that. I mean, Nick has already held us to a high standard just with the Sons of Mem stuff and these magnum opus. The things that he writes that are usually just karaoke versions of songs, but about completely new.
I put the Magnum in Magnum Opus.
But I was trying to do something very simple, and I thought it was typically I'll think, oh, this is really clever, and I'll try it. Like some of the stuff we've done for
Good for you.
it's true. And usually it'll start to come together, and then I have to tweak it, but then it starts to come together a little bit better.
He's talking about his nipples, by the way.
Ben is if you can't see right now, but
That's
Ben is
how he
actually
writes.
he's playing
Fully
with both
erect.
of his nipples
Fully
right
erect.
now, which is why we have these hands-free mics. It's great. He can do both nipples at the same time.
Fully erect.
But actually, I am going to play with my nipples while.
It gives him creative energy.
It's making it more awkward now.
But no, it was what I started doing was so awful that anyways, musicals maybe.
You don't I'm trying. I don't know how to over or undersell this enough. I've recorded the worst things that have ever been recorded in the history of musical theater ever. And you think you're ready for this? You think you've heard me at my worst, I've used effects to terrible use. It's gonna be a shit show.
Next week, as far as I'm concerned, Matt still has the greatest thing ever captured on audio recording, which is "You Better Make Stop Trump."
This is some of my early work.
That's debatable. The tape doesn't exist anymore.
I know it was. Well, just like all those other tapes from the White House, he's made it disappear. It was only sent out like 30 times. We somehow lost it.
Let's leave that completely out of context for right now and explain it. Maybe we should explain that as part of the musical. Bachelor party at the musical.
Well, actually, I mean, there was a bit. We learned that Matt travels through time when certain things are combined, and it happens to be cat food and blackout drunk. And if Matt eats cat food when he's blackout drunk, he travels 5 years into the future.
Yep, it's true.
Or
it
6
happened.
years, yeah.
Matt got drunk. He ate cat food, and the
I
funny
did
thing
all
is,
of these things.
no one even put him up to it. He just went
No,
up to the cat food.
I volunteered.
Just started eating
said,
it.
"Hey, is anyone else going to finish that?" And the cat looked at me kind of funny. But
then you started getting incoherent and saying weird, unprompted things. And one of them was, "You better stop, make Trump." And none of us could decipher that, and we all decided that like the Terminator,
like we almost
made sent into the future.
We almost made T-shirts.
It was originally it was "You make Stop Trump," and then when people questioned me, I said, "You better make Stop Trump."
You make Stop.
They all started like you. It all started with you being like, "You just stop, you did Donald Trump, motherfucker."
You Donald Trump looking motherfucker. All because John
Reinsvold
had an iPhone and he was making fun of my BlackBerry. I was like, "Oh, Mr. Trump over there's got an iPhone. He's Mr. Moneybags." And apparently, I like really took that to heart because when I got drunk, that's all I could think was that Donald Trump motherfucker flaunting his phone right in front of me.
Better stop.
You better make stop Trump.
Better make stop Trump.
Yeah, it's as nonsensical as you possibly could get. That was the make stop Trump story. But so we had a couple false starts on the podcast. We'll probably air some of the Kevin Smith thing. I think if I edit it down a little bit, it might be usable. I really wish it had been podcast 37 as the Kevin Smith one, but instead we have a different theme for tonight. And
why don't you just eat cat food the next time we do it and go back in time and we'll be 37 proper?
No, he only goes forward in time.
Oh.
Wait.
Yes, this is.
Maybe if he ate dog food, he would go back.
We don't know. And if I eat birdseed, I can fly. So it's true. It's a magical time. It's a magical place.
I think we should just experiment with every single bit of feed that
every animal food we can come up with
and see what happens.
This would be perfect. So,
what are you doing Friday?
I'm apparently going to go get some bird food, and we're going to make this happen. And we're going to watch Birdman and really, really dig into this whole ridiculous thing. But so we were looking for a topic for tonight, and this is something kind of, I'm very curious what everyone brings to this, because this is something my brother and I got really into, which was we would do double features with new releases. So we don't see each other like super often. So once a month, we might say, we went one weekend, and we would always go to one in like a good theater and one in a bad theater. So we saw like Superman, Man of Steel in like the good theater. And then we saw like This Is the End in the shit theater. And then there was the infamous, terrible double feature of all the worst double feature I've ever watched. Do you know the two?
Beauty and the Beast and Belko Experiment?
No, that was an amazing double feature. Beauty and the Belko was maybe one of the best double features I've ever done. We did.
And do you know, Matt, it was literally my first double feature
That's
in the
crazy
theaters.
to me. That's
I'd
crazy
never
to
done
me.
it.
No kidding.
Until
Beauty and
until Beauty and the Beast and Belko Experiment. I had never seen two movies back to back in the theater.
You've never seen Matrix 1 and 2 back to you.
Well, absolutely, but
not in the theater.
Not in the theater.
I'm sorry, 2 and 3. It was terrible.
I remember my first double feature ever was I think in 1996 or 97. It was the back-to-back feature. Same thing, shitty theater first, and then the good theater for the new movie. We went and saw Biodome and Screamers.
Wow, that's an interesting.
Screamers, which is not what it sounds like, because I'm sure nobody saw the 1996 Peter Weller Screamers.
Just keep talking. I'll keep it
Anyways. But yeah, I mean that's such a bizarre first double feature. But double features are they're wonderful things.
We used to, when I was a kid, we would go to like the drive-in and we do double features, and we would like it was a thing. Like you go to
learn how your bodies work.
Oh, well, like you worked in the movie theater. See, I worked in the movie theater too.
Yeah.
But you only had, was it 2 theaters or the single theater?
Well, back then it was a historic landmark.
Right.
And there's only one giant screen.
So it was one
and
screen.
1,000 seats.
Yeah.
And they expanded it since, but like I had to wear a maroon smoking, like Hugh Hefner smoking jacket,
like the bellhop outfit.
Yeah, and the bow tie. It was humiliating.
Well, I did Blockbuster, I didn't do the movie theater.
Anal beads in the case in the back row during a screening of Shrek.
Anal beads?
Yep. Well,
that's some serious movie.
I mean, if they're not anal beads, they're just
buys.
beads. You know. And this one was, I had a sticker of the sex shop on it. So
who is that into
Shrek?
No, that they've got to.
Beats me.
Well, I mean,
like, do you imagine that there was like an alternate version of that night where that couple went out and they got to Shrek and he's like, pull out the beads. She goes, oh no, and they're like, well, we got to go home now. We forgot the anal beads. How can we watch Shrek?
No, that conversation happened, and they're like, should we go back and ask for our anal beads? And they go, I'm not gonna put that awkward 15-year-old kid to task.
Maybe they were like bequeathing them to you.
Meanwhile,
we don't even know, dude.
We don't know if they were used.
That's one of those things. It's like you see
we didn't open the case
because this would happen in the movie theater. You like see something like that, and you like have to like, call alert number 4, and you come in with a hazmat suit, and like, I mean, because there was this disgusting stuff that you would find in the movie theater.
Lots of weird stuff.
Oh yeah.
We had
You're really into the music
bag.
today.
I remember putting my hands in a plastic bag, looking at the case, staring up at me from the floor. Scared, but also a little excited. Finally, I lost the rock, paper, scissors, picked it up, threw it away, and that was that.
With your bare hand.
Well, no, I did. I put my hand in a garbage bag, a plastic bag, and picked up the case.
You're like, I found a used condom in the next row. I put my hand into that.
By the way, I just want to tip my hat to myself for just one moment. I never.
Was that the Two Girls?
Yes, it was. I was waiting for someone to hear what it was, but I never thought it would be used so perfectly in tonight's podcast. I just thought it was funny because it was two girls. It was a double feature.
The fact that you have that soundbite on your laptop.
That's that I immediately know what it is. Too.
So I put together. I did a lot of Doublemint commercials on here, so we can hear those. Got that. We've got Ben's favorite. That's right.
Do you have any Olsen twins? The pizza party song? Oh.
No. Pizza would be a good one. But...
Give me pizza. What is that?
Oh.
What is
Guys.
It's a terrible song.
Come on.
What is that?
We're alienating our audience of one.
It's a Taylor Swift and somebody else. It was the worst song I ever heard. But I was typing in like double whatever, and that like this guy.
That's pretty bad.
Sounds like a young Ben Wilson to me a little bit. Really?
Or me tomorrow. Nah.
Yeah. That's a Ben Wilson. That is a Ben Wilson shot right there.
Wilson-esque squeal.
On,
yeah. So
next topic.
So the worst double feature my brother and I did.
I have this song and we can bring it back up. We will find it.
Timmy has a Gadboline CD in his trunk.
I know.
And no one knows.
I don't know what that song is. What song is that?
Nobody forgets.
That's post Nick as bassist, right?
That's post Nick.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's when the band all went downhill.
You're amazing.
No, actually, no. That's just another fairy tale. That was when we were in the band.
Oh, is that fairy tale?
That's fairy tale.
That's a great song.
Oh yeah. So did you have any part in that or?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Did you have any
And no one knows.
Yeah, I didn't write it, but I contributed sparkling 2-part harmonies, I believe, and an original bass line.
Yeah.
The bass line after
Just
that.
walk.
Actually,
slapping that bass.
a pretty smoking bass line. It's
Rocking
actually
the
one
least
of my
important
favorite
part of that
ones.
fucking-
Thanks, Benny.
That band.
You know what?
Uh,
I don't need your jealousy.
okay.
My brother was.
Closer to you.
I'm gonna move the microphone so everyone can hear
So
Timmy
we can
better.
hear. No, closer to you. It's too far away. You
Oh,
were
see,
too
I was
telling
trying
you
to do
go
that so we
together.
could hear Timmy. You're gonna have to lean in real close to me when you have a comment.
Yeah, just get like right up all in.
Or
him.
yell.
I just want to make shitty comments.
Actually, if you just laid in his lap and your head was
And
up,
your head was up,
yeah,
you'd
you
be
would
fine.
definitely be able to
I'll
be
sit,
hurt.
Sit in his lap.
Yeah, no,
No,
just
just
your
head
head, just
down.
your head, not your body,
No, don't do the body. That's too much strain.
just your head.
Cock first. And then,
You can try it that way. I don't know how that
Don't try
works.
it that way.
What's the line in True Lies? It's like,
I don't know how to
yep.
do this.
Her head's in his lap.
understand.
Woohoo! Anyways,
So yeah, the worst double feature of all time. It was Prometheus and Rock of Ages.
that is
It
bad.
was the worst day at the movies I've ever had.
I have to
sounds
say-
pretty awesome, bro.
I have to say, I
I was
saw
on my couch.
Rock of Ages and thought that we were gonna watch the first 15 minutes and make fun of it and turn it off, and I made it through the whole movie and hate watched it.
It is-
and it was awesome.
It is
As a hate
unwatchably
watch.
terrible.
No. I disagree. As a hate watch, it was thoroughly enjoyable after a couple of brewskis.
Interesting.
I mean, I like the ode to Malin Ackerman's butt. That is a high
The
point
best-
in it.
The best
but-
part, the first song is that Mormon on the bus, and it like zoomed through. What's her name? Julianne Hough. Right.
Mormon
And
on
it
the
goes-
bus
that's the-
was the alternate title of Rock of Ages. That Mormon on the bus.
and
I
also-
haven't seen that movie, dude. You're going to space?
You have seen that movie.
It was also the prequel to Book of Mormon.
No, you're thinking of Mormon on a bang bus, Timmy. It's different. But it zooms in and you hear Journey.
the
And
same amount of awards.
you hear Journey in the background, and it cuts through the window, zooms in, and it goes to her, and she goes, "I'm just a small town girl."
So bad.
That's how it starts off. I was like, "This gonna be good."
yeah, it is. It is a terrible movie.
So
Worth
here-
a watch. Worth a
But
watch.
here's the what I liked about when Matt suggested the double feature thing, because I know that he does that with his brother. But the thing is, when you're deciding how to do a double feature, you have to have some yin and yang.
Correct.
You have to have something of two different times, which is why like Biodome and Screamers isn't the worst thing. It's like a really out there stupid comedy. But and then I was going to watch this weird sci-fi futuristic other planet.
I've
movie.
never heard of Screamers before. I have no idea what that is.
It's Peter Weller.
Time, so I have to disagree
It's
with you, but.
well, it's. I mean, so you can decide like what your criteria is for a double feature. You could just say I'm watching a series of movies by the same director, and I think these two of his films
I had
are
a- I had
most
a theme
likely
for
are-
sure.
are like this.
Sometimes there are themes. Sometimes you just want to have two things that are completely different. Sometimes you want to have things that are approached the same way but involve completely different subject matter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and I wasn't
there's
sure,
a-
and the thing we were kind of last minute in this, and because this might be when we revisit at some point, because there's endless combinations you can be talking about, but
I copped out totally on one, and yeah, I'm gonna get called out on it. We're gonna go through really fast.
it's fine.
one of mine is
I thought for a
cop-out.
night was gonna be the one time we didn't argue about the rules, because anything can be a double feature, I think. But one of the things I really like when I'm reading trivia about a movie is when a director has a cast watch a movie or another film before they start shooting, because those tend to be like Nolan having the cast of Dark Knight watch Heat, right? Like
I think we had a very similar process here.
Well, I don't know. Honestly, that's not how any of mine came together. I wanted to find more of those because I wanted to look up a bunch of them and say like, here are directors
Well, I
who
have a
felt
couple for you.
thematically that these things tie together, which I think are I find that super interesting to look at. But and then there are other ones where like directors have said some of their films like oh my god, I'm gonna blank on the director of Christmas Story.
Porky's.
Bob. He passed away, Bob, whatever his name is. But yeah, he said, he directed Porky's as well, and he goes, "Oh, this isn't such it's not such a weird thing."
Bob Clark, right?
Bob Clark, that's it. It's like it's not so weird because I think that all the kids from A Christmas Story grow up to be the kids in Porky's. Like that's his tie between
Makes
those
sense.
two, which is pretty interesting. But and then there's the other side of this, which is kind of one of those where you're describing a movie.
Only he got his tongue stuck to something else,
That's very true.
to a different pole.
What's kind of interesting is thinking about
that, Timmy?
yes,
Timmy likes
thanks for
that one.
nailing that, bringing that one home.
I'm gonna get more raunchy just by the nature of Timmy sitting
playing the
next to me.
Timmy.
I'm playing the
Timmy crowd.
Double
audience.
pole joke. I like that.
I thought it was kind of interesting.
Oh no.
Oh
That
yeah.
was 7th grade project.
Well, you can't. We foamed up the door. So
If we
you have to piss in a Mountain Dew can.
If we have to do a pause, we'll do a pause. Just let me
will
just
break through
raise your arm when you have to go.
What is this?
pee-pee.
A pause cast?
Oh no!
Fuck is this?
Okay, we've gone off rails,
No,
but
no, stop. You guys keep going. That's fine. I'll crawl out the window.
the other thing is when you're talking about movies and you say this movie is blank meets blank, it tends to often be that those movies would be good
right.
ones together. So, Ben, why don't you kick off with kind of your first
Okay,
pick?
I'm gonna actually start off with the ones that I think are the most similar tonally, but not, or at least in aesthetic. So when I was developing the list, I came up with a few that are very well. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna start with one of the easy ones,
Okay.
which is let's face it, one of the best monster movies of all time is King Kong.
Okay.
The
Monster
original
Squad, I thought you were going
the
for.
original
Yeah.
the original King Kong, the 1933 King Kong with Fay Ray that had 4 different directors. But anyways, I grew up loving that movie, and it still holds up actually as a classic. But I always loved like the misunderstood monster,
Okay.
which led me to thinking for some reason
The Donald Trump story.
how do you know? But no, I immediately thought of the 2010 Gareth Edwards film Monsters.
Oh yeah.
So this was where King Kong gave the main monster a character, like a character arc almost. I mean, throughout the entire thing. Monsters is more about the character arc happening between the two characters, but the monsters are still these kind of misunderstood alien creatures. I mean, it's very clear that we've intruded, and that they're very confused and they're very scared, and they have no idea really what's going on either within the context of this movie. So that was, I thought, kind of a fun double feature because it's 2 monster movies that are completely different, but both deal with those themes of like not really belonging.
What was the second one? Monsters.
Monster.
Gareth-
It always goes back to Space Jam. for me.
Monster. It's about a demon poop that attacks.
Monster.
Which is a real
Monster.
movie, by the way. Monster. I own it. It's on the rack next to you somewhere.
Where she's trapped in a room. Can't get out.
Room.
That one? Yeah, I feel like that right now. Just like he's trying to putting smoke in here, and I'm just trying to fucking leave.
I love how you have CB4 next to Chinatown and
Of course I do.
Cannibal the Musical.
Don't interrupt Ben, dude. He loves.
Tim, I mean, if you really want to leave, you can leave.
Yeah. Just go. Just go.
Just
No,
go.
I just need to pee. Like,
Just go.
Just
Just
go.
go pee.
Just go.
Just go do it.
There's a 7.
We're gonna
Just
talk
do it.
about you while
Just
you're out.
You can do it.
Just pull that down.
If I had some
and take-
headphones.
Can you show him?
Take those things off the top.
Oh, you just gotta lift it up. Okay, hold
Yeah,
on.
you gotta take that.
There you
and lift it
Hold on,
up.
take it. All right.
Okay, so
Headphones are coming off.
let's
So
do
what's
it.
happening right now
Let's do it
is
play by play, yeah.
Timmy is attempting to escape our inescapable room. What he doesn't know is that we switched his Folgers to decaf. Let's find out what happens when we tell him what we've done.
Oh, he's going for the hook on the top left. Oh, it runs pretty fast.
There he goes. So look at it. Oh, look at Nick. All those years
I
undoing
don't know.
bras.
I don't
He
know
knows
if
how
he's
to
gonna
pull that
make it.
off right away.
He's shanking it to the left.
Hey.
Oh, that's wet.
I take I take offense at your use of the word shank. That is my family's name, and their family, and all of our families.
We're gonna leave it off so you can come back in.
Yeah. We'll let you come back in. You can
But
put it back
anyways,
up.
so that was my first one. Was I like that it's 2 movies that deal with the same sort of themes.
Are we still recording? Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And do different kinds of things with it. But yeah, if you haven't seen the movie Monsters, I would encourage everybody to
not.
watch it. I know that when I first recommended it to Matt over here, he looked up this movie Monsters that was like a B movie made in like 2006.
Yes.
That was like very, very bad, and you got like 15 or 20 minutes into it, and you were like, "What was Ben thinking?"
Because it's kind of a psychological think piece, and there's a lot of really good character work, and this movie was just this like bad Cinemax movie, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And then I watched the actual one, which my first introduction, and I didn't even realize it, to Affleck's Affleck puts him in all of his movies, and he was in that show about the computer programmers, *Halt and Catch Fire*. Scoot McNairy, best name ever.
Well, next to Shasta McNasty.
Well, Scoot McNairy needs to marry Imogen Poots, so she can be Imogen Poots, Scoot Poots McNairy. So that's my double feature.
What the hell is going on?
Anyway, that was I digress.
That was one I kind of came up with.
I've been waiting to use that Scoot joke for so long, so thank you for finally giving me an avenue to do my Imogen Poots Scoot McNairy joke.
I don't get that joke.
His name is Scoot McNairy, and her name is Imogen Poots. So if he took her last name, he'd be Scoot Poots.
Got it.
And if she took his last name, she would just be
Poots McNairy. Imogen McNairy.
Imogen Poots McNairy. Like if they did the hyphenated thing.
It would be Scoot and Imogen Poots McNairy.
Well, she just get rid of her maiden name, Carruthers.
Yes, that's correct. That's Scatman Jones.
What was one that you came up with?
Yeah, and I have like a few. We can kind of figure out how we want to do these. We don't need to make them super long. But so I went really dark on the first one, which was if you're a single and
it can't be darker than a double feature I once had on a date. It was a second date, and it was going to stay in and watch
The
movies.
Pianist and Schindler's List.
So this was I was about to say. So this wasn't in the theaters.
Long time ago. No. This was like, she likes me, right? We're gonna watch double features and be great. So I went to her place, and we ended up watching The Human Centipede, directly followed by Harmony Korine's Trash Humpers, which is a movie that never leaves you. And
so I imagine she was an indie girl.
Yeah, listen, I gotta tell you, Trash Humpers fucked me up.
Did you recommend these movies, or did she?
God, no. Human Centipede is like, you can play that off as being campy and fun. It's gross, but it's grosser than you expect. But still, you can get through it. But Harmony Korine's Trash Humpers, seminal work, Trash Humpers, is just like performance art of people in vinyl old people masks. So you never see their real face. And it's them going around causing this like dark mischief. And there's one scene with a little child. It's the only person who isn't in a mask.
Dark mischief.
Well, it's hard to explain. It's very dark and disturbing.
What do you want to do tonight? I'd like to start some dark mischief, master.
I wish it was like that. A child goes, "This is how you should do it," and he picks up a dolly and he bashes the brain in with a bat. And he goes, "I told you I'd kid it," and it holds on him for 5 minutes.
He's British?
No, he's just a kid.
For 5 minutes.
I've seen this scene.
You've seen? Oh, I showed it to you, didn't I?
Yes.
Well, it was one of the most disturbing things in my entire life.
The question I have is, does anyone actually hump trash in it, or is it just a fancy title?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, well that's good. I don't like those movies where it's not accurate to the title.
Well, go back to your dark.
My dark. So this is if you're in a bad place relationship wise, this is the double feature for you.
Oh no.
So we're gonna start off with the really bad one, which is Audition, which is a Korean film that starts off like the greatest, most wonderful romantic comedy you ever seen. It's there's a meet cute story, and this couple meets. It's shot all pretty, and you're thinking, this is such a wonderful feel good thing. And then the last act of it, spoiler alert, I guess,
torture.
is torture porn in a really like horrible way. Like where I can't watch a lot of graphic stuff.
Trash Humpers or Human Centipede, but I have seen Audition twice.
Yeah. And the director literally said that this was his take on relationship gone bad. He goes, it's all the highs at the beginning are unrealistic, but you're like, oh, it's cute because it's romantic and all that stuff. And he goes, and then when it goes dark, this is what it feels like. it's someone sawing someone's foot off and making them eat dog food out of a bowl on the floor.
And the needle, the needles.
Your needle is really
That's
unwatchably
You
awful.
You really swung for the fences. This
Oh
week,
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
you, Maddie?
So after you, so you.
Who's gonna watch that just by itself, much less as part of a double feature?
Oh, I watched it by itself. I was told it was it's a really
actually
good film.
It's a really
Okay.
well shot, well acted. Like it's
You
considered.
saw it twice.
Yeah, I mean it's considered like I think it was 2006 or something along.
Yeah,
those
it was like the
lines.
best film of.
But it was like I mean it was one of the highest rated films of that year.
It's
Like,
when I say torture porn, that's kind of selling it a little bit strange. It's an art house movie. Like it's not. It's a film. I wouldn't call it like a movie.
like I mean, it would be say like Antichrist. I find that completely like dark and very like twisted, and I wouldn't probably want to watch it again. But it's art. I mean, it's still art.
Is there any dark mischief in it?
Yes, dark mischief. It's my favorite kind of mischief.
If you consider a dying fox or a disintegrating fox saying "chaos reigns," dark mischief.
Well,
then yeah, you
I'm
got
pretty
that.
sure Willem Dafoe's penis does qualify as dark mischief in
It's true.
in most circles.
It's
so
true.
there's lots of Willem Dafoe penis
Yeah.
in that film.
And
You
spoiler,
buried the
and
lead,
Spoiler
man.
alert!
not my movie, the one he's talking about.
Oh, right, okay. I'm getting confused now.
Folks, please don't go rent Audition thinking you're going to see Willem Dafoe's penis or Willem Dafoe in it. Neither he nor his
this is
member
Audition.
appear. So after you take a shower and you overcome your fear of Audition, you're going to want to pop in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which similarly examines relationships going a different way than where they were
I
in
watched
the
those
beginning.
two movies back to back. I'd kill myself.
Well, I didn't say this had to be the happy double feature society. I said that these are two movies that pair well together thematically.
I-
Like,
No, I
like a
understand.
fine wine and cheese.
I understand what you're saying, but like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is one of my favorite movies, and it's hard for me to get through sometimes.
Yes.
Just because it is very emotional.
But sometimes you want to feel.
No, yeah, I just don't want
cut
to feel like
feel, Ben. I cut to feel.
I don't want to feel like that after I've seen Audition. Because then I'm just like,
So I just want to hear Mr. Blue Sky, Ben.
but I have a weird thing with Eternal Sunshine, which is that I watch it with the script ending. Every time I watch it with how he ended the script, and the script is the audition end. It's them. I think we've talked about this in the podcast
the perpetual
before.
loop.
Yeah, that it's in the future, and she's getting her memory erased for like the 30th time. And they're like, oh yeah, she comes in here every 2 years. She re-meets him, falls in love again. It goes to shit, and they come and they have their memories erased over and over and over again. It's a very dark ending. But all right, so let's go to a happier
Well, you're
double
gonna
feature.
You're gonna assume that mine are happy, huh?
You're not into dark mischief. You're into light mischief. So
Depends. Depends on my mood.
no, I could do dark mischief too, guys.
I like dark mischief. Snarf. Okay, so
Snarfables, was that it? Sorry.
we thought of a in the Thundercats mythos. If they had prepackaged lunch for little children Thundercats, it would be Snarfables.
Snarfables.
Have a dessert, a little cracker, a little cheese, and make your little mini pizzas.
He sounds tasty now.
I understand where you're. Yeah,
Snarfables.
Snarfables.
I get it. I get it, and it's very, very funny.
Well, that's a good segue to my double feature
Snarfables.
because of course Wet Hot American Summer makes an appearance in this double feature.
So I'm kind of curious. Before you say yours, Ben, if you had to pair a movie with Wet Hot, what would it be?
I would do something because Wet Hot is just so overtly, and I wouldn't even call it slapstick. It's like this. It's that kind of David Wayne, kind of the Stella type of humor, where it's a combination of slapstick and also sort of this ridiculously sort of like high concept highbrow. I would do something that would be also a comedy, but more very subtle. I would do something like Wet Hot American Summer with something like Rushmore. Or something with that.
Not where I went with that.
Yeah, I don't like that. Go,
Okay.
Tell yours.
Okay. You don't have to.
What do you think, Matt? What would you pair it with?
I mean,
I'll give you my caveat.
okay.
It
It can't be another summer camp movie?
Well, no, it is. But I would end on Wet Hot American Summer as sort of the chaser.
Okay. I mean, the first thing that popped
Can I
in my
guess?
I bet you know it now.
Sleepaway Camp?
It's Sleepaway Camp.
Super Camp. That's
Yeah,
a really
I
good
knew
double
it.
feature. It's a good double feature.
Guess what we watched at my house in 2010? Back to back.
Oh,
Sleepaway Camp And Wet Hot American
Well,
Summer.
I actually think I remember you telling me
Yeah,
that.
and
now.
Shit.
and honestly, and the one that I would pair it with is the other one we watched, which is Indian Summer.
Indian Summer's a great movie.
Yeah. Well, two
Indian Summer
camp-
was like the first movie we put on, though, just because that was like, it's a good get wet your whistle sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's just like a melody, like
Wet your whistle.
I hate that saying. It's a real gross turn of phrase. It's just one of those things.
Well, I'm now gonna have to put it on the soundboard of Ben saying "wet your whistle."
It's my moist.
but slow it down, like wet your whistle.
your
All right. Well, here's why I picked Sleepaway Camp. I don't know why. Your reasons for repairing it was just that there were 2 camp movies. You were doing a camp movie marathon.
We
or
did like 6 camp movies.
camp movies. Okay. Well, I specifically paired Sleepaway
We
Camp.
made Bug Juice.
There you go. Well, it's been said in interviews that Sleepaway Camp. It was kind of Christopher Walken that came out. It was
said in
the
interviews.
that Sleepaway Camp really did influence Wet Hot American Summer in the sense that they were spoofing a whole bunch of camp movies, Porky's being one of them, and Sleepaway Camp. And I remember I'd seen Sleepaway Camp when I was little, and it traumatized me.
Of course.
And I had these.
That's its goal.
This would be another good topic, Ben or Matt. Like movies that you remember a certain way and rewatch, and it had a totally different take on. I remember Sleepaway Camp as being just terrifying because of its iconic last couple seconds, which still to this day terrify me. But the movie as a whole,
Which the movie is so short, it's like 5% of the movie.
yeah, no, less than. It's literally the last shot is the only real scary part.
I know, I'm joking.
It's schlocky.
That movie's like an hour and 9 minutes long. It's really short.
Yeah, and the thing is, I didn't remember how funny it was, how goofy it was. Here comes Timmy.
Uh-oh.
Go ahead, do it. Here he comes.
Speaking of funny and goofy,
There you go.
It's still dry enough. We don't have to hang those back up.
yeah, we'll do fine.
Well,
I mean, I kind of
not
want
that
to
dry.
watch him hang it back up so we can do commentary on it, but
no, let's skip that. But
maybe just the bottoms.
the
That's how Timmy
the thing
likes
about
it.
Sleepaway Camp is every male character in that film is Ken Marino in Wet Hot American Summer, basically.
True.
Like every single and that specifically, like Ken Marino's character in Wet Hot is exactly that, like overconfident, like jock, trying to get laid, oaf.
That was also kind of like a very 80s staple. That character existed in a lot of things.
Yeah, it was almost tropish.
Well, the whole Wet Hot was not just spoofing Sleepaway Camp. But
No.
I noticed that when I watched it, recently, and that's what really reminded me.
That's a good one. I like it.
I like
It's really
that.
fun. You got kind of a slasher, and you follow it up with a straight up goofball comedy.
And that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, if you haven't killed yourself after watching my double feature, that's a really good way to pick yourself back up off the ground and
Quadruple
and
feature.
feel feelings of laughter and joy again.
I've actually got a good one that can kind of go off of that one. And this is kind of my more arty pick, where it's 2 movies where their aesthetic.
Get the Christian Bale sound effect ready. Go ahead, Ben. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let's hear it.
Where the aesthetic is very similar in both movies, but the topicality of it is completely off kilter. And so the 2 movies are Spike Lee's 1989 film Do the Right Thing, which is still Spike Lee's best movie, in my opinion. Come on.
I just
Yeah.
jumped in here.
And-
But
and-
I gotta say a couple words. Jesus Christ, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
Continue. Yes.
So, Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing. And the follow-up movie, the chaser to that movie, would be Richard Linklater's 1991 breakthrough Slacker. 2 movies that are very idiosyncratic in their structure. They have long takes where they follow characters having conversations together. Slacker, where it's going from one conversation to the next conversation to the next conversation with no real through line, where Mookie, Spike Lee's character, is kind of the through line, Do the Right Thing. But Do the Right Thing is such a great movie.
Do you notice when he said to go off of your... And I was thinking about Wet Hot American Summer and Sleepaway Camp.
By the way,
That's not going off
No,
of
no.
my selections at all.
No. You had said something right at the very end of that I thought made sense with my...
you said something
I
pretentious.
share a
or-
birthday with Spike Lee
I didn't know that.
and Big Bird.
So the only My only caveat with this is just a stupid caveat, which is I find Slacker to be almost an unwatchable movie.
And that's and a lot of people don't like Slacker, so I can understand.
I try,
that.
and it hurt. Like, I mean, when I was
Principal Strickland
we talked about Slacker on the Kevin Smith podcast.
Of course you did, because Kevin Smith considers it his
number one.
Number one.
So
influence.
of course, when I became Kevin Smith fanboy, I go and I rent Slacker, and I was like, I couldn't.
I bet if you watch it again now, you have a different appreciation.
Man.
He hates Degrassi too. He loves Kevin Smith, but he hates everything that inspired him.
Oh, let's talk about Dan Harmon, why don't we?
No.
Anyways, no. So
I like everything that inspired
first
Dan
off,
Harmon.
if you
hate Dan Harmon.
I don't have any problem with you not liking Slacker, because a lot of people don't like Slacker. It's a love-hate movie. If you say you don't like Do the Right Thing, I just think you're an asshole.
But I'm almost feel like that it's bad because it brings Do the Right Thing down. Like, I don't think it's fair to put the two together, because it's like, I think the one is a poor attempt at a movie, and I think the one is an amazing film.
You did the wrong
I
thing.
think Do the Right Thing is a fucking amazing movie.
But Slacker is still considered one of the most influential movies of the early 90s.
I don't get it. I just don't get it.
But
I agree.
You understand what I'm also talking about
I know.
aesthetics, like the way that the films are shot, and the way that where Slacker is following these conversations that don't make a whole lot of sense to other conversations. Do the Right Thing's doing the same thing, with Mookie being a through line, and it's all about racial tension.
It's true, and one's Austin versus
it's Austin versus Brooklyn. Yeah.
I think the right thing to do now is move on to the next pairing, Matt.
Oh my goodness gracious. So let's do.
You guys are gonna hate all of mine, because my last was such a cop out.
I don't think there's a cop out. Mine more is just to dislike one of the movies. There's a stupid reason to not like the double feature. But so I wanted a good pairing of kind of kids movies, coming of age movies. I wanted to see if there was something fun in there. And one you mentioned. You mentioned something earlier it would pair with as well, but I went with Stand By Me and Goonies as kind of a flip side of kind of kids banding together on an adventure. One, a very dark and real adventure, and one, a very fantastical and crazy adventure. But
I do that. I'm pretty sure I did that double feature when I was 7 years old.
And what I like is that either way, though, they both still feel like it's the camaraderie that's done really well. And Monster Squad could have been thrown in there. I thought about trying to pair Monster Squad with a bunch of things, but Stand By Me.
Monster Squad.
I thought you were going to say Little Giants and Rookie of the Year.
Well, of course. I haven't gotten to my third one yet, you dick. But no, I like Stand By Me and Goonies. I think is super interesting. Just from they're very storytelling kind of movies. Yeah. What's up?
Timmy made an observation that if we were including the television series, that Stranger Things could also match up with this.
This is true.
That's
Stranger
true.
Things is very much a Goonie. Actually,
good job.
Stranger Things is a pretty good bridge between the two. If you did Goonies to Stranger Things to
if Goonies
the body.
fucked Stand By Me and waited 9.5 months to get Stranger Things.
I think it would also have to fuck Stephen King.
It's gotta fuck. Well, hold on. It's gotta fuck a lot of. It's gotta fuck The Thing. It's gotta fuck Stephen King.
Steven Spielberg.
It's Steven Spielberg.
Just all the Stevens
and One-Eyed Willie in the socket that isn't being used.
Really, it's fucking everything 1986 and lower that it featured children. It's a pedophile of the 80s. All right, next.
Wow.
You guys must hate the Goldbergs.
I love the Goldbergs.
He loves the Goldbergs. He DVRs it every week.
Hell yeah.
Was it a good episode this week?
I've finished it. The season's over. Kevin Smith directed the finale. It's called Graduation. It's beautiful.
He's directing everything now.
What's that short little fat guy who does
Patton Oswalt.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, Nick.
So
I like him.
I have kind of a theme. I wonder if you.
Fat little short man. That's a good thing.
I just like how afterwards it's just gonna sound like we're in like the Peanuts movie, and these are all the parents. It's just
all you at home are missing some Tim McDonald gold, but we're so now that he knows how nonsensical this is, we're hoping next time he'll join in and do it.
I tried to move the mic over.
Well, I'm not as important to sit in that fucking chair either.
No, that's cemented for
Ben.
Ben.
The side chair. Go fuck yourselves.
That cushion is Ben is part of it, and
this
part
cushion's
of it.
brand new because I can feel it.
I've jerked off on it.
Oh.
I can feel it. It feels crispy.
Wait! You jerked off on Timmy's couch across there from that chair. Just a nice arc of. If you guys could see this, this is
doesn't have the
comedy
steady
gold.
hand.
What you can't.
We'll post some
Or the-
pictures on
he doesn't
lastpintprod.com.
have the durability to pull off
Yeah,
a move like that.
www.lastpintprod.com.
After
We
the
have
podcast
actually.
is over, we're breaking out the cameras.
There's now an age
By the
gate
way,
on
you're
our
taking
site
long
because
enough.
there's
You need
some
at least
semen
3
on there,
months.
and you can't do that for. So Ben's giving me the don't say semen on there anymore.
Do you have the Benny Hill theme song you just play, and we'll just all talk at the same time? Okay, so my next pick is starting off with a battle royale.
Uh-oh.
One
Are
of the-
you going
the
into
top
the
10 grossing films in Japan? What was that?
Are you going into the?
Little what is that?
Is that a bow and arrow that's going to go into this pairing?
No, bow and
No.
arrow.
Oh, okay.
No.
Continue.
No. I'm pairing battle royale, which was, you know, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking
Yeah.
Hunger Games, because it's very similar and pretty much took
And
the whole
I
plot.
have a hunger at my loins. That's why. So.
Well, the thing is, Belko Experiment also heavily
Ooh.
took from Battle Royale. You
Yeah.
could pair those up because they're similar. All right, Timmy. All right.
Tim, come on. Hold up for a second.
Either put your head in my lap so we can hear your nonsensical ramblings, or
Timmy, we're gonna have to put you on timeout. You don't want me to count to 10, Timmy. One, one, two,
This room is ridiculous.
3.
Yeah.
Don't make me get to 5.
Finish this podcast.
All right.
it's gonna be real good. I'm gonna finish with a bang here. So, Battle Royale is about overpopulation, and the government passes an act that allows a busload of children to fight to the death, and the last one standing wins the Battle Royale. It's a way of, they say population control, but it's this dark-seated, fantasy of these administrators and the government and
They got
this bloodlust.
got totally ripped off.
It gets ripped off many, many times, and I'm not going to pick a movie that directly rips it off because we have many different choices there for that. I picked Kill Bill, which is just heavily influenced. Quentin Tarantino loves Battle Royale, and you see a lot of those.
He said it was the only movie he wished he had directed that came out from 1991 until 2013. The only other movie he said he wished he had directed was The Matrix, but he said that the sequels soured him on it so much that he couldn't say that anymore, so Battle Royale was the only one.
And it's not a bad one to choose. Battle Royale is amazing. I just rewatched that about a month ago. So good. But Kill Bill, he recasts the role of Chigusa, who is one of the coolest characters there. Who a guy is trying to assault her, and she stabs him to death. She's in this iconic schoolgirl outfit, and then this bright yellow jumpsuit. Now, Uma Thurman's character's yellow jumpsuit is more inspired by Bruce Lee, the iconic yellow suit, but it has some black stripes. It's very similar to what Chigusa is wearing in the scene of Battle Royale, right? So then she appears and fights Uma Thurman wearing a jumpsuit that looks very similar to her character's wardrobe in Battle Royale. Another fun tidbit that I found out today is that there's one scene where the administrator who's holding these kids up, he's kind of got, a mean streak, and he gets a call from his estranged daughter that really throws him for a loop at one point in like the second act, and it's only a voice. And Tarantino cast that woman to be just the voice on the end of a telephone call.
Oh, nice.
As well as a double homage.
That's neat.
I like it.
Yeah, so you basically that's going to be your ultra-violence double feature. It's highly stylized ultra-violence.
What do you start with?
Well,
What order?
You start with Battle Royale, and then you
move
watch
to
Kill
Kill
Bill
Bill.
and see how it.
Do you watch both
influenced-
Kill Bills? So is that technically a triple feature?
Well, I didn't say that.
Or you watch Kill Bill 1?
I want to say the first Kill Bills.
First Kill Bill?
They're doing a
Okay.
double
No,
feature.
I was curious. It's interesting.
I actually prefer Kill Bill Volume 2, but in this double feature, I think that you're better off doing one.
Yeah, I mean,
Just because you got the
to see.
through lines.
Yeah,
It's
and
cool.
that's my theme, by the way. Like, Sleepaway Camp kind of influenced Wet Hot, Battle Royale influenced Kill Bill, and my third one is also similar to that theme.
Well, let's hear what Ben's triple
Okay,
is.
here's the cop out. I'm gonna do a sequel with the original film.
Oh, that is it. You did cop out. There's only one way you could cop
There's
out.
only one
and
way you could cop out.
Back to
And
the
you
Future
did it.
1,
I
Back to the
have
Future
a
2?
good reason, just because I still feel like it is the best double feature
Godfather and
of
Godfather
all
2.
time. No,
Les Infants,
Back to the
Infantes,
Future, Back
and
to the
Les
Future.
Infantes.
I've talked about this. I've talked about one of the movies before.
Metropolis and Metropolis 2.
Lost
No.
World and Jurassic World.
No.
Fuck you.
And so the reason why I picked them as sequels is because not only are they completely, from an aesthetics point diametrically opposed.
Let's go on the aliens.
Yes,
round.
they
For
are.
God's sake.
They are completely different movies and completely
Have
complementary
we not
to
exhausted
each other.
this topic on the podcast, though?
Oh no, but I'm just gonna like it's one of those things I just can't leave out. I'm sorry. So we can move on. But if you disagree with the fact that Aliens is a great double
honestly,
feature.
the part I disagree most about is we've talked about Alien and Aliens. I think in the last like 17 out of 37 podcasts.
Because Aliens one of my favorite movies. But yeah, go ahead because that was really it. It was just because
I'm going to go with Gremlins and Gremlins 2 then, and we're going to just do that. How's that feel?
I haven't watched.
How's it feel?
I haven't watched Gremlins 2 in a really long time.
Well, you know, if I were to take Alien and use my pairing logic, I'd pick this movie that I've never heard of, The Terror from Beyond Space, which Matt, you said earlier.
I thought
You said earlier, Matt, that you liked the concept of a director showing a film to the crew members. That film was shown on set several times because the plot was so similar. They didn't want to do it exactly like this old-time movie. It basically is the same. They even borrow shots going through crawling through vents. And you take the xenomorph
That's
out,
kinda cool.
and you got a reptilian humanoid alien. It's the same exact plot.
interesting.
I like it.
Fun fact.
What's your third?
Well, you didn't go yet, did you?
I did I've done 2. I haven't done my third yet.
Okay. Well, my third is kind of cheating because I've technically never seen one of them before.
What?
That is cheating.
But
Okay, you can't give me a hard time for the sequel thing, and he hasn't seen one of these
This
movies.
is a little strange.
well, I
but-
think you might forgive me because when I found out about this, I go, I want to do this now. Like now,
Okay.
I legitimately
All right.
want to do this double feature, right? And the first one is Star Wars because do you need an excuse to
Which
revisit
Nick has
Star
never
Wars?
seen.
I keep hearing all these great things.
You do not want to read anything about the second one. It will spoil some big things. So don't go reading about Empire Strikes Back.
Fair enough. Yeah. But pairing that with Kurosawa's The Hidden Fortress, which I've never seen. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I've seen clips and I've seen the making of Star Wars, and you see how it influenced George Lucas, and you have these bumbling pair kind of roaming together, and there were direct inspirations for R2-D2 and C-3PO.
I'm not familiar.
Well,
I'm kidding.
they're bow
kidding.
staff. They're bow staff fights
Yes.
that if you squint your eyes and go, vroom, vroom, it reminds you
No, I
of
mean,
a
that's the
lightsaber
whole.
battle.
Kurosawa was a big influence
Yes.
on Lucas because, like, the Jedi are basically samurai. I mean,
Yes.
that's like Yojimbo is like the rogue Jedi.
Well,
Yo,
Jimbo's fistful of
Jimbo.
dollars.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying it's like I was giving one example
Yeah.
of a samurai movie where it's like you have this lone person who's like the force of good in this place where there's bad things going on.
Jimbo and fistful of dollars. That would be a pretty good in the same
there's-
vein.
I mean,
back to back.
Well, yeah, I mean, Kurosawa and Leone were both. I mean, Leone said that Kurosawa was a influence, but yeah.
But another fun thing that I found out is that they couldn't fit all of the references in the first Star Wars. When the famous scene where Vader chokes out that admiral, and he goes, "I've given you clairvoyance enough to find the rebels' hidden fortress," and he doesn't even get hidden fortress out before he's choked. And that's Lucas like directly saying, "Yep," and he owned it. The same thing happened with Indiana Jones. That's directly based
but that's
on
all Lucas did was take stuff from his childhood that he
Right.
watched in all the serials and ape it for.
And what he couldn't fit in the first Star Wars, another element in Hidden Fortress apparently is royalty hiding in plain sight, like Portman as
I mean, that's
in Naboo.
Phantom
Menace.
That's Lucas with. I mean, even Willow is him doing the Hobbit because he couldn't do the Hobbit. They wouldn't let. He couldn't get the rights to it, so he just did Willow and just aped everything about the Hobbit. Like that. Pretty much most of Lucas's career is other than American Beauty. I mean, American Graffiti.
American
Sorry, sorry. I just rewrote film history. no, we're gonna move on. We're moving on.
George Lucas's American
Shut up.
Beauty. I was like,
The most stilted dialogue.
Do you want me to show you the most beautiful thing I've ever shot? It was his bag dancing around.
And then a really bad CGI bag.
Just floating around.
Pew, pew, pew.
Well, you're missing the fact that European graffiti was released only a year before that. So even that.
George Lucas's American Beauty might be the best unmade movie ever. I think we're going to do an entire podcast where we cast George Lucas's American Beauty, and it's going to be amazing.
Oh, God.
So I had a bunch of ones on here, so I'm just going to pick one at random off of my list. And I wanted to do movies that we haven't talked about, because there's a lot of ones that we'll tend to do. So these are two movies I'm really, I dig a lot. One is Nightmare on Elm Street 3, The Dream Warriors, which is easily the best Nightmare on Elm Street, and just a fucking phenomenal Frank Darabont penned movie.
And the only Nightmare on Elm Street that features a hit single by Dokken.
This is entirely true. That is absolutely true. That is so
Timmy's liking it.
awesome.
Timmy liked the Dokken reference.
So, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is literally about all of these people banding together.
The name says it all, man. It's the Dream Warriors.
So these people all dream of Freddy, and they have abilities in their dreams to combat Freddy, and they come together in their dreams to be the warriors, to beat it. And the one movie that I felt fit that to a T is It. Which is being remade and is going to come out this fall. But it is a very similar thing where all of these people band together. Wow, Timmy is just losing it over Dokken over here. He loves Dokken.
So specific.
It is the same thing. It's these children and then adults who come together to battle this force of evil that is terrorizing them all. They think individually, and that's one thing I really like about both of those films is that everyone thinks they're the one, like they're the only one, and they're both kind of that metaphor for almost like abuse, right? It's all these people that feel like they're alone. They've got these things that are happening to them.
And they can band together and
they can beat it together. Yeah. Which I liked.
The Arquettes have been through a lot.
This is true. She's awesome in that. But
I sat next to David Arquette at a Lakers game once, and he was wearing a velveteen purple three-piece suit.
Well, of course he was. Sure. Why wouldn't?
Because he's David Arquette.
Yeah.
I mean, if he didn't show up in that suit, people would just be like, "Who is this asshole?"
Was he Cox Arquette at that point?
He
or
was
just
so
Arquette?
hot. No, not Cox Arquette. That's post Cox Arquette.
Okay.
But he was like sweating like he ran a marathon. They would not take off this like velour vest and this velvet.
Yeah,
suit
cocaine
jacket.
will do that to you. Does anybody have any honorable mentions they want to just kind of toss out there as good recommendations to our audience?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned Wet Hot because originally I was trying to think of something.
It's funny I mentioned that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
I
really
never
fun.
do that.
No, I'm just saying, but I also originally thought I was trying to find something that had a little bit more seriousness with Wet Hot and that had the same themes, but I just couldn't find anything that stuck.
You mean you couldn't remember actually doing my suggestion a few years ago?
Which is what?
You literally did my suggestion.
Oh, no, he means something serious.
No, I meant something for this podcast. Because that was a camp-themed day. Like, we had 6 camp movies.
Fair enough.
Basically, starting at 11:30 in the morning and running until I fell asleep.
Ate a lot of chili that day.
We ate a lot.
a lot of good chili went down our bellies.
Okay,
that
keep
day.
going.
We put like two
I do
bottles
not wanna-
of
that's
two
a-
bottles of bottles of grain alcohol in a and like a
We had
Punch
grain
punch?
alcohol, bug juice, and chili.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was
Let
bad.
me tell you, the next day in Delray Beach, bad things happened to the sewage system.
Lord.
Just terrible things. We created a chud. We single-handedly resurrected a chud.
No, I actually don't have any specific.
What about like Short Circuit and E.T.?
Yeah, I
could
mean,
do
Like
that.
or Howard the Duck, like a creature, fish out of water.
There's a lot. What about Short Circuit and Her? Let's go like kind of out of
God.
one's an operating system that comes to life and gains a personality. One's a robot that comes to life and gains a personality.
Or Short Circuit and Terminator.
Your mother was a snowblower. That's from Terminator. It's not. I had one that I would thought you would have done, which is Election and Ferris Bueller. To do Ferris and then Ferris as an adult.
well,
I read that article.
Two that are actually similar. The ones that I were thinking of, but I don't think they really apply. Is I like the fact that John Frankenheimer only directed The French Connection 2. Not the original, but he did direct Ronin. So I like the idea of The French Connection and Ronin because they're separated by like 23 or 43, 33 years. And they're so they're so similar stylistically, but their plot is completely different. Yeah. So I liked that as like a double feature of like fast cars and stuff like that. Like it's just super good action, like well written action movies. High concept action movies. So French Connection and Ronin I thought was a kind of cool.
You mentioned when you were talking about Alien, for some reason it popped in my head of doing Alien Nation and District 9, which are kind of a similar...
Alien Nation randomly popped in my head because I thought of it maybe as like a pair for something else I had written down.
Yeah, I mean it's a buddy cop. It's a buddy cop thing, but I like the idea of there's all of that kind of racism that's built into Alien Nation, which is the same kind of pivotal thing for District 9.
Isn't Alien Nation Lou Gossett Jr.?
No, it's Mandy Patinkin and you're thinking of Enemy Mine.
Enemy Mine, which is Dennis
Enemy
Quaid.
Mine and Alien Nation is an amazing double feature.
There you go.
That is an amazing
I say that's the
double
winner
feature.
right there of the day.
Shit.
Enemy Mine. Enemy Mine and Alien Nation.
I have both of those movies. I love Enemy Mine.
Yeah, it's right next to Dirty Work and Donnie Darko.
If you are president of USA, I am Mickey Mouse. That is my favorite line from Enemy Mine.
It's right next to Bowfinger.
No, the one I thought, Ben, you might do it, so I didn't want to put it up there. But you famously described a movie as the combination of two films. And that is Coherence being the combination of Primer and Melvin Goes to Dinner, which I think will be our next podcast, which is going to be triplets. What are your favorite this movie plus this movie birthed this movie?
Equals this movie?
Yeah, so I think that'll be something for the future for us to be thinking about.
That's too thinky.
No, well, the thing is Primer and
we'll have more than a day to put it together.
I need more prep for that one.
Because I said Melvin Goes to Dinner and Primer equal Coherence.
Yes.
Melvin Goes to Dinner and Primer are both less than like an hour and 15 minutes long. So
and Coherence is like an hour and
half, like an hour.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But but before we end though, Melvin Goes to Dinner is this set mostly in one location in the restaurant about these two friends coming together for a random dinner and how their lives kind of intertwine. And it's kind of a dry, dark comedy.
It's about four friends that come together.
Directed by Bob Odenkirk.
Mm-hmm.
And then Coherence I had never heard of until I watched it with you, Matt. And it was one of the coolest movies I had seen in a really long time. Matt, I forgot if you would Google it during our viewing session or later. But that movie is sort of like this horror
it's a murder mystery party is what they did. They made it like a murder mystery party. They handed people notes and they're like, improv, oh, by the way, your character this is happening with them right now. No one else knows this.
During the filming of the movie, these actors didn't know what was going to happen. They would only give them certain clues about their character or their surroundings. So it was like a live murder mystery dinner playing out in front of a camera.
You know the interesting thing about that movie is it was shot in 3 days.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's fucking crazy.
And if my Uncle Tim is the other Timmy listening to this episode, yeah, he does. He loves Scatman Jones. But
who doesn't?
I forgot to.
I know what you guys are talking about.
I forgot to recommend it to him, and he would totally dig that movie.
It's an awesome fucking flick. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we thank you for listening as always.
Wait, I'm gonna give Timmy the actual mic here. Get in here.
Okay.
One last thing. Get a parting
Timmy,
shot.
do you have anything? Hold on. No, Timmy, tell us what you thought about the podcast.
Oh,
get in here.
Yeah, get in there. Lean over there. Lean over. You gotta lean. You gotta lean over.
I think I'm good.
They can't hear you.
I think I'm good.
You got it.
Exactly how I sound.
You gotta look at the microphone,
it
not
sounds
me.
like just
Don't
like-
look at me. I mean, you've heard this before. Don't look at me.
He doesn't like eye
Don't look at
contact.
No, it sounds
look at it, eat
exactly
it.
like the rest of them. Just a bunch of fucking assholes sitting around talking about movies that nobody
Okay,
knows.
that's enough. All right, and the podcast.
Hold on a
Matt.
second. I think that's our first review blurb we have ever gotten that we can put up now on the site,
on iTunes.
which is
fucking terrible.
Tim McDonald says it's just a bunch of assholes sitting around talking about things.
Print the T-shirt.
I think he said talking about movies that nobody's ever heard of.
That's even better. That's the best blurb I think we're ever gonna get.
Some of them we've heard of them.
I'm gonna shoot a promo that's gonna say that.
It's just a bunch of
be like that,
assholes
like that.
sitting around talking about movies no one's ever heard of.
In Comic
Tim
Sans.
McDonald.
Brilliant.
We're so good about movies.
All right.
Like you're the new
All
hipster, dude.
Well,
Like,
we
you're
thank all of
everything
you
we
that
need in life.
do enjoy listening to
Have
us.
you seen? Have you seen
Oh, boy.
Monster
There it is.
1938? It's
Oh my
amazing.
God.
There's
1938.
It came out in 1938. You guys wouldn't see it.
Hey, Tim. We went to school for this shit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, you sound like a pretentious asshole. So go fuck yourself.
we've got our best review sound bites ever. You sound like a pretentious asshole, Timmy. We thank you, the few of you, the few and the proud that listen to the podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's installment. We will have our musical one next week. Yes, Ben?
Yes, we will.
You will have You'll have your full orchestra in there, and
come on, man.
Ben's actually flying Mandy Patinkin in to sing live for him on 2 of his tracks, so it's gonna be pretty awesome. Timmy's a big fan of Mandy Patinkin's stage work. He doesn't like his film work so much, but he loves him on stage. You can find us at lastpointprod.com. We are on Google Podcasts. We are on iTunes Podcasts. You can go on Buzzsprout and look for us. We are the New Way Podcast. We are changing the way you don't listen to podcasts.
There's the t-shirt.
Day by day.
Day by day.
Or day by day.
Oh, holy Lord.
Day. Thanks for
things I
listening,
pray.
kids. We'll talk to you next week.
Godspell.
Peace.
God damn it.
When I used to listen to some of this shit, it was so bad. It was in here.
All right.
So bad. I love you guys.